So let me start. So these, just getting started can be temperamental. In the front, you have 4 cartridges that can fit a total of 128 megabytes of RAM. Now you don't need that. You just need a single RAM stick. But if you're going to run all 4 CPUs, and there's 4 CPUs, you're going to want at least 1 RAM stick per slot. And you will have 4 cartridges included. So just starting from scratch, what I'm going to basically do is turn off all this stuff and allow you to get there on your own time. So just starting, this is the mining operating system, which is Linux, obviously. I use MinerStat usually, or SMOS. This happens to be SMOS. So once you plug it in and put your ETH in the number 1 slot, this is your control panel. Those are the passive fans, the fans that if your setup has GPUs that are passive. There's probably this plug in the back. Now if you're using passive, you have to have the cover on. The only way to have the fans blow correctly is with the cover. Without the cover, it won't cool, obviously, because you need to tunnel. There's little blocks, little blue things that you take off to allow the airflow coming through here. It's really good airflow, but you'll have to if you're using cards with fans, you can do whatever you want, but I'm build like the entire purpose of my build was using passive cooling. Alright, anyways, so when you bypass everything on the BIOS, all I've been doing is talking this whole time. So this is the main BIOS when it pops up. Also with the lid on, quiets it quite a bit. So you see the 4 CPUs, prop 1, 2, 3, 4. Power supply requirements, 1 minimum, 2 required for redundancy. But I went ahead and I looked at the BIOS and I told it not to look for the second power supply. Now this is the second BIOS to get in the ROM for the utilities. So you'd have to press exit to skip configuration, but again, I have it set to just do that automatically. And then I have it set to boot from USB. There you go. Now we're into the mining program. And again, I'm just talking this whole time. This is all just happening on its own. Too many CPUs, dynamic power scaling disabled. That's because I shut down the CPUs. So this is just using the GPUs. Even though the 4 CPUs are great to use on XMR, because you can go into the BIOS and you can set the power efficiency, you can set the power arc, but I'm just turning all that off so that, there you go, boom. Now I'm using SMOS, it's started, it's in the mining program, and it's just using my GPUs, the 4 GPUs that I have in this rig. It's building the DAG, and it's just So the entire process took about 5 minutes. This is a 5-minute video for it to start up, and you can see it's fully mining, accepting shares, and obviously the HP Pro or Prolific, whatever everyone just calls them, HP Pros. This is one of the newest. Like also you'll hear when you put this on, it becomes silent. Those fans become silent. Well, why don't I show you? Listen to that. Listen to that. Now obviously that's also helping the airflow. That's all you hear. So you'll hear a little bit out the back here. You'll hear nothing elsewhere. This is, again, your control panel. Not nothing. I shouldn't say nothing. You definitely hear them revving up. But it's pretty impressive, definitely for using passive. And as you can see, look at the temps. And look at the power usage. 420 watts. Obviously just a single power supply. If you use the CPUs, add an extra 300 watts. So the system as itself, just like any motherboard, will take like 200 watts. And then probably about 400 to 500 with the CPUs engaged. But you can turn them all off and it'll just pull like a regular motherboard. And this will go and go and go. It's the most stable. This is the entire purpose, is stability. This is just going to run. I could go into a coma, and a year later, it's just going to keep going and running and running. Now, again, it's been mining this entire time. So as long as you guys understand how to using an operating system, a Linux-based operating system, whether it's Simple Miner, whether it's Hive, whether it's MinerStat, you know how to set up and configure. Because I will be including probably MinerStat, because MinerStat, when you get more advanced, will allow you, the way the program is written is done very well for dual mining using CPUs. So it just takes a lot of the, obviously with any mining program, you can make it see the CPUs, except with Simple Miner. Simple Miner is GPU only. So as long as you know how to configure and build the operating system, I mean, that's a huge part. So if you know Linux, you know your mining operating systems, you know how to build from scratch, basically. You know how to build up either a Hive account, you know how to build up a MinerStat account, and you know how to get a regular motherboard to boot from a USB, you're good. And then that way you can start mining right off the bat. When you want to get more advanced, one of the biggest pluses of this, like obviously there's a reason for all this. There's 4 CPUs. Even most servers only have 2 CPUs. You can dedicate a thread to each GPU, which allows you to use 4 gigabyte GPUs and still mine Ethereum. That was the main purpose for this extremely expensive overkill. But now with XMR, everything's up. But with Ravencoin and everything, you're better off using, if it's 4 gigabyte cards, you're better off using them just on Ravencoin and using the 4 CPUs. You can set the power in the BIOS. This is just for later. Like I'll have them turned off to start, so it'll be simple. It'll boot up just like that. But you can use the CPUs to mine XMR without touching the GPUs. It won't take any of your hash rate, and it's just Look at this. Gotta love it. Alright, well, as long as you guys, again, can do the basics like that, no problem. First startup is a bit finicky. That's what your control panel is for. Like, definitely after shipping, if anything's jostled about, if the memory's loose or anything, it'll show up here. If one of the CPUs is loose, it'll show up here. And it won't start until everything is secured. So, but after your first startup, you'll never have to touch this again. Like, it's built to be the most stable thing you could ask for. All right.